So I had a hatred towards programming during my school days. Then I felt, okay, at least no one taught me, then why don't I go back to my school and teach? When I started doing these workshops, I
Mhm.
wasn't looking for financial independence or something, but money kept coming in and I didn't know what to do
Mhm.
with it. But midway, the FOMO hit. That is, I was
Mhm.
doing all these workshops and my friends were getting placed. I was right from my childhood very interested to get into defense sector, so sat
Mm.
for it. We had a separate batch for IITians and NITians. I didn't get,
Okay.
and there I was the only one who got screened through medicals. Various ways of validating your ideas, which I was trying around.
Hello everyone. Today we have with us Vikas. Previously we had Srushti with us, who was my junior. He's a co-founder for the same company with Srushti, and she had recommended me to take his podcast since he had an interesting journey to share with us. So I'm excited to hear about his journey and experience. Hi Vikas.
Hi, Shashank. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah. So yeah, we can start with a little more introduction about yourself that you'd like to share up with us, and how was your journey during engineering, and so until now.
Okay. So, talking about my journey, born in a middle class family. So, my primary schooling, everything happened in Ooty.
Hmm.
Back then, I was quite good at Tamil.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think
Okay.
even anyone would recognize my Tamil. So, let's leave it aside.
Okay.
And I had my high school and everything in Tumkur. So,
Hmm.
my father got transferred there, and most of my schooling I was mostly into sports,
Hmm.
spending time, and I was an avid coco player. Have played two
Hmm.
coco nationals, and
Hmm.
whenever I couldn't play coco, I was finding an alternative game to play. I couldn't keep my, so I am a restless person, to put it in a
Okay.
very, so
Uh,
I used to play a lot of chess. I ended up playing state level chess, and yeah,
nice.
that's most part of my schooling. Then
Hmm.
comes engineering, graduated from NIT Calicut, and
Hmm.
post that working on the startup Sile.ai.
Okay. Nice. So, like during your engineering or even before, like what were your ambitions or career options that you were considering, and how you navigated across them?
So, like when I was doing engineering, more than career options, it was passion and interest. So then I was more excited about robotics and
Hmm.
participated in various competitions. There was
Hmm.
a particular competition by DRDO in my first year of engineering called DRUS,
Hmm.
where at a zonal level, the director of DRDO appreciated our project and
Hmm.
he asked me if I code. And I was
Hmm.
like, so. Then he was like, how
Hmm.
are you leading the team and everything when you are not aware of programming? So he was at
Hmm.
least like, you should be aware of what all
Hmm.
happens inside. And even better if you can actually code, learn AI, because he gave many AI applications for that particular project which we were working on.
Okay.
And that's how my journey with programming started, with AI started. So I went deep into it.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
then I felt like, so till then I was a biology student till class 10th.
Okay.
And there was no way we were exposed to programming.
Hmm.
And I only kind of programming which I have seen is people sitting in front of their laptops, which my
Uh,
parents said. They were like, you
mhm.
are a non-fit person, so never take computer science. And I also felt it honestly that I can never sit in front of computers all day and work. I always wanted some form of
Hmm.
physical exercise.
Hmm.
But so I had a hatred towards programming during my school days.
Okay.
But once I started programming, I felt this is not something worth hating, and this is
Hmm.
lot more interesting and exciting than what I had expected. So I
Hmm.
felt it would have been nice if someone had given me that exposure right at my school, so that
Hmm.
maybe instead of I am a production engineering
Hmm.
engineer, so I might have taken
Hmm.
computer science as well. So I
Hmm.
took production because it was mix of MBA and mechanical, both of which I was interested.
Hmm.
So then I felt, okay, at least no one taught me, then why don't I go back to my school and teach? So I
Mhm.
started training my juniors on robotics, where we used to carry all the tools. They used to build mechanical robotic structures, then do the circuitry, then programming. So this is
Hmm.
something which I started. This kept on growing,
Hmm.
and that's how I got into education and finally what I am doing now. That's
Hmm.
the broader overview. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So after that, like during engineering is especially when many people start thinking about their career options. So how was it for you? Like, did it start to convert from passion and interest to looking for some first financial independence, what career to choose, or did you find both?
So it was quite different for me. Like when I started doing these workshops, I
Hmm.
wasn't looking for financial independence or something, but money kept coming in and I didn't know what to do
Hmm.
with it.
Hmm.
And there was a particular incident of one of the startup ideas which I was trying then. It was an agricultural robot, like a rope-based alternative for drones, which could carry
Hmm.
heavier payloads. There were multiple use cases, had won multiple startup competitions, and I
Hmm.
went to my grandparents' home, showed it to them, and told, "Hey, this is something which I'm working on. Are you interested? Like, would it be useful
Hmm.
for you?" And they
Hmm.
were like, maybe someone else might need it, but we have other problems to solve. Then I
Hmm.
attended few marriage functions, did user interviews there, and
Hmm.
it's one of the best way to do user interviews, finding lot of people, all open to discuss. And
Yeah.
I realized the response was something similar. That's where I
Uh-huh.
realized actually no one required whatever I was working on, and their problems were different. So I
Hmm.
felt then who would solve their problems?
Hmm.
And I realized I am not interested in solving their problems. I was interested in technology. They don't want my technology. So
Hmm.
maybe they have to find someone else for their problems.
Hmm.
And but someone has to solve. So I felt the best person to solve a problem is person suffering from it. Give them
Hmm.
necessary tools, resources, they can solve their own problems.
Hmm.
So I decided to take a pivot. I had got quite some amount of money, so we
Hmm.
decided that why don't we do these workshops for free in all these
Hmm.
remote places? Because
Hmm.
Bangalore, Chennai, all these tier-one cities definitely have access. But
Hmm.
what about the villages where even technology hasn't reached there the right way?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
felt this exposure would help them a lot. So we used to carry all this. We have been to places where buses don't go. So
Hmm.
this was happening. Yeah, I did it for entire my second year, third year of engineering,
Hmm.
early fourth year as well. But midway the FOMO hit. That is, I was
Hmm.
doing all these workshops and my friends were getting placed.
Ah.
Then the question was okay. Why not look into placement?
Hmm.
And decided to take 1 month off from all my workshop engagements. And
Hmm.
the first company I sat for, Novartis, I got placed there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how I ended up getting a job.
Hmm. So going forward after that, like, did you have multiple other offers following that, and how did you choose which was the right one for you, or did you follow your passion after that?
So most of the colleges these days comes up with telling that you can take only one job offer. Once you accept that,
Hmm.
uh, you cannot go for other offers. So
Hmm.
that was the case with me.
Hmm.
Which means after I accepted Novartis offer, I couldn't sit for any other company's placements.
Hmm.
So I was literally idle for rest of the month, not knowing what to do. So I started applying for various fellowships programs where I can explore deeper with AI.
Hmm.
And there was this one program called Pi School of AI,
Hmm.
where minimum requirement was masters with 2 years of experience.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had that, but I was
Okay.
also equally jobless, so I kept on applying, and I thought, why don't I apply for this? And
Okay.
sometimes it works, as it
Uh,
did for.
hmm.
So I ended up skipping my semester exams, 7 semester exams, and also
Hmm.
likely to skip all my most of my eighth semester.
Hmm.
I went to Italy and
Okay.
worked as a $1 billion startup through this fellowship. And
Hmm.
then pandemic hit, had to return
Hmm.
back. So pandemic hit in Italy first, and
Oh.
when I returned to India, pandemic, like there
Uh,
was fear everywhere, but not
uh,
as serious as it was in Italy.
hmm.
So once I returned back, IIT Kanpur had visited our campus. It was just I think 1 week or so. I don't remember exactly.
Hmm.
So then my our HOD was like, anyone who has above 8 CGPA must attend, because it was the first time they were offering direct PhDs through campus for
Hmm.
an NIT.
Hmm.
So there again, I sat through the interviews, got selected for that. Uh, Post that, Indian Air Force had visited our campus, and
Hmm.
there again, that was one option which they allowed, where in spite of taking a job, you can
Hmm.
go for PSU sector applications. And
Hmm.
I was right from my childhood very interested to get into defense sector, so sat
Hmm.
for it. We had a separate batch for IITians and NITians. I didn't get,
Okay. Huh.
and there I was the only one who got screened through medicals, and
Mhm.
it was in medicals, like pandemic had hit full blown. There were so many restrictions,
Hmm.
and that's where I realized maybe army is not right suit for me, because
Hmm.
the kind of dedication, passion I saw people around me, I
Hmm.
felt they would fit in better. And
Hmm.
secondly, the kind of restrictions, everything, I felt I would be able to perform a lot better without those restrictions.
Hmm.
And yeah, once this medical happened, I couldn't go back to college because pandemic had gone full
Hmm.
blown. Went back to home. So
Hmm.
I think that was the last day just before going to Indian Air Force. Last day
Okay.
at college. And
Okay.
yeah, once I went home again, now I had three offers: Indian
Hmm.
Air Force, uh,
Hmm.
and PhD at IIT Kanpur, and also the Novartis job offer. And
Hmm.
there is this thing called paradox of choice. If you have one
Okay.
of, take it. If
Uh,
you have two, maybe you do a good comparison and take the best. But
hmm.
if you have more than three or three, I
Hmm.
think you take so much time to take choices.
Yeah.
It's the paradox of choice. And
Right. And
so
even despite selecting one, we still feel like maybe other two would have been better or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
So then my thought process was more on the lines of, if I can crack these three on first attempts,
Hmm.
maybe if any other job or anything I try, there is a fair enough possibility that I get some job, if not
Hmm.
that exact job. So I
Hmm.
felt, let me continue what I am doing with the workshops and everything. This is something
Hmm.
which I closely associate with.
Hmm.
But at the same time, so the ideas were like, we were planning to do more meaningful workshops. Earlier, I
Hmm.
was teaching, students were learning,
Hmm.
but the robots were not doing anything. They were getting assembled and disassembled. So
Hmm.
we thought, why don't we make water cleaning robots with them? So that take them to a
Hmm.
nearby water body, get it cleaned.
Okay.
Instead of teaching IoT with switches or something, why don't we make them build a hydroponic forest? So when we leave
Hmm.
back, there is some contribution to nature. So we had all these
Hmm.
ideas, but at the same time, Doklam standoff happened. So
Hmm.
all electronics, everything took a very bad hit.
Hmm.
And now there I was,
Hmm.
not taking three of the offers which I was keenly interested on, and also
Okay.
not being able to pursue my startup idea.
Hmm.
And I think that was one of the most drastic switching points of my life.
Hmm. So, what did you do next?
Uh, Same time there was another fellowship which I had applied. It was called
Hmm.
Tech Leaders Fellowship from Plaksha
Hmm.
University. This
Hmm.
was something started by 80 odd founders from various uh, IT industries in India, primarily IT, like
Hmm.
Hitesh Obrai, Ritesh Agarwal.
Hmm.
So, and that's where, at home I wanted to pursue other alternative startup ideas. I had money, I was ideating, but there
Hmm.
was always this parental pressure. Why are you sitting at home?
Hmm.
Because they were just looking at me sitting in front of computer, no
Hmm.
activity, nothing.
Hmm.
So because of that pressure, I couldn't work at home.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like, I felt this was a really interesting and exciting opportunity to learn directly from these founders.
Hmm.
And also this had a very strong AI element for it, where faculties from UC Berkeley Purdue used to come and train
Hmm.
there on AI. And so I decided to take it up. I had got 100% scholarship. So
Hmm.
the idea was to take it up for my parents in the back
Hmm.
end, work on my startup idea.
Hmm.
But once I took it up, the program was so interesting, I ended up pursuing
Hmm.
it full fledged.
Okay.
And while I was there, again, I started exploring multiple other startups whenever I got time.
Hmm.
So yeah, I joined, worked on multiple startup ideas, maybe
Hmm.
5 to 6 ideas easily in that
Hmm.
next 11 months.
Hmm.
And while graduating from there, again, similar, I can accept only one job offer. This time, this was RCCM, which was offering me. I think I got the highest placement package from my entire batch.
Hmm.
And then again, there was another startup I was working on
Hmm.
called Muddy Games.
Hmm.
So there, the idea was to do corporate training using games. Uh,
Hmm.
and that was something which again I was passionate about. Education is something I always was
Hmm.
inclined towards. And
Hmm.
my co-founder's condition there was, if you're doing this, no part-time job or anything, you have to work
Hmm.
on this startup full-time. So I decided
Hmm.
to take another plunge. uh,
Hmm.
Rejected the offer from uh, RCCM, ended
Hmm.
up working in this company. uh,
Hmm.
Things were going well, but later there were some misunderstandings with the founding team. There were multiple issues, so we decided to split apart. We ended up
Hmm.
starting another startup called uh, Meta XP, which is what I have been doing with Srishti. And yeah,
Hmm.
that's most of my journey.
Great. So you say, as you said, like you decided to take a plunge, and I believe in multiple points in your life you have taken risks, right? So how do you decide whether it's safe to take a risk? Like, do you consider safety nets, or do you think it's better if you don't have safety nets so that we can give our all into that?
So I think it depends from person to person and also
Mm-hmm.
the timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel the best time to take risks is when someone is in college.
Oh, yeah.
Because literally the kind of pressure we face, all the financial issues which come, the social issues, like
Mm-hmm.
currently I am seeing all my friends going to US doing their masters. I am still stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
So most of these issues wouldn't happen if you are taking risks in college and you have a very good safety net there. So it depends, one, the timing of it, and
Mm-hmm.
second thing, like whenever I took risk, I had a backup in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that if I don't, say my startup fails or something, I can still go back, maybe convince Novartis itself, or maybe look for a similar role. So I was confident of what kind of jobs I can crack and was it a
Mm-hmm.
worthy enough risk. So it was more of a conscious risk, and the risk appetite depends from person to person.
Right. And you mentioned that there were time where you were interested in working on multiple ideas. So how did you manage to balance between them? And it would be difficult to move from ideation to execution, right? So how did you manage that?
So I would not call them multiple ideas, but multiple startups. It was mostly, for example, I was working at the startup called Synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
This was something which Elon Musk had started as Ad Astra Nova, and that
Okay.
digitalized version is Synthesis. So
Mm-hmm.
there, it was hourly basis. So every
Mm-hmm.
hour I spent there, they used to pay me based on that,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was literally not affecting whatever else I was doing. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, the other startup idea which I was focusing on was something called Teach to Educate, where
Mm-hmm.
the idea was again to bring in more peer-based learning and
Mm-hmm.
learning journeys for, because the idea was there are so many resources out there on the internet
Mm-hmm.
that we need not sit and create new resources or something. So how can we create them into more meaningful learning journeys and at the
Mm-hmm.
same time use peer learning to facilitate it? So there were multiple ideas, again, everything revolving around education, which I was exploring.
Mm-hmm.
And when to pivot, everything depended on. So before building any product, I used to go. There is a
Mm-hmm.
concept called prototype, where
Mm-hmm.
you don't build something, but you believe you have built it, and
Mm-hmm.
you go and check with your audience, making them believe you have built it and see if they buy it.
Okay.
Various ways of validating your ideas, which I was trying around. Some of
Mm.
them told, yes, this is the right direction, or this thing works, something doesn't
Mm.
work, and that's the
Mm.
pivot. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So next I have kind of a philosophical question like how do you balance and devote enough time for multiple aspects of be it health, social well-being along with managing career or your interests?
I wish I could have.
Yeah.
Honest answer, I have not been able to do that.
Hmm.
And yeah, ideally, I think that's where, like, if I was a lot more sorted earlier, maybe
Hmm.
now I could have dedicated time better. Or
Hmm.
even now, I think I can.
Hmm.
Just that my
Yeah.
preferences are a
Hmm.
bit less towards health and stuff. But
Hmm.
that's something which I am constantly looking
Right.
forward to.
Yeah, I think for health, as a childhood, as you said, you were into sports and you always ensured to do exercises, right? So I think that as if it is a habit, then it will become easy to ensure these aspects.
True, true.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we are. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Vikas, for being with us. Hope to see you again. Bye.
Sir. Yeah, bye bye.